Hi everyone, welcome to Emma, a true infidelity story. I'm excited to share a new story with you. The air in the operating room is always different. Sterile, yes, but there's a charge to it, an electric hum of life and death hanging in the balance. I'm Alexander, a surgeon at St. Mary's Hospital, where every day is a dance with fate. My hands, steady as they are, have always been my most reliable tool, threading the needle between life and the abyss. Today, as I scrub in my mind isn't just on the patient waiting under the bright lights, it's on Lucas, my husband, whose smile can light up our home like the morning sun, and Jack, our German shepherd, whose bark echoes through our halls, a sound so familiar. It's almost a part of me, our home, a sanctuary, a place where the chaos of life is held at bay by the warmth of love and the occasional mess from Jack's latest escapade. But today something feels off. A storm is brewing, not outside but within me. As I kiss Lucas goodbye, his lips warm against mine. I promise to be home before he falls asleep. He smiles, unaware of the unease that's settled in my chest like a stone. The hospital corridors are almaz, each turn leading to another story, another life in need. I walk them with purpose, my white coat a shield against the chaos. But tonight, the usual calm before the storm feels more like the quiet before an earthquake in the locker room. I change into my scrubs, the fabric familiar against my skin. My fingers trace the name tag, Dr. Alexander, reminder of who I am, or at least who I've been trying to be. The reflection in the mirror shows a face I know well. But tonight there's a shadow behind the eyes, a hint of something unspoken. The first case of the night is routine, or so it seems, a car accident. A young man with injuries that require my full attention. As I work, my mind wanders to the secret I've been keeping, a secret that could unravel the life Lucas and I have built. It's not just about the surgeries anymore. It's about the choices I've made, the lies I've told, and the truth that's been gnawing at me. The operating room is a sanctuary in its own right where the world outside ceases to exist. Here I am in control, every cut, every stitch, a testament to my skill. But tonight, as I close the young man's wounds, I can't shake the feeling that my own life is bleeding out slowly, inexorably. After the surgery, I step out for a moment of solitude. The hospital's rooftop, my refuge, the city sprawls below, lights flickering like stars fall into earth. I breathe in the cool night air trying to clear my head, but the unease persists, a whisper in my ear, a reminder of the storm within. Back inside, the hospital's rhythm continues. Nurses moving like shadows, doctors with their heads down focused. I check on my patients. My rounds are ritual, a way to ground myself, but every step feels heavier. Tonight, every heartbeat a drumbeat to an unknown march. As the night deepens, the hospital's silence grows, punctuated only by the occasional beep of machines or the distant murmur of voices. I find myself in the break room, a cup of coffee in hand, the steam rising like my own thoughts. The secret. It's like a tumor growing, pressing against everything good in my life, threatening to burst forth and destroy. I think of Lucas, his laughter, his touch, the way he looks at me, like I'm the only person in the world, and Jack, his loyalty, unwavering, his presence, a bomb to the soul they deserve better than the storm I'm about to unleash. The night shift stretches on each houser, a reminder of the life I've built and the one I might lose. As I prepare for another surgery, my hands pause, the scalpel hovering. This isn't just about saving lives tonight. It's about facing the truth, about deciding what kind of surgeon, what kind of person I truly am. The operating room door swings open and I step back into the light, into the life I've chosen, knowing that whatever happens next, the storm within will break, and when it does, nothing will ever be the same. The hospital is unusually quiet tonight, the corridors echoing with the soft footsteps of the night staff. I'm on call, but the ER is eerily calm. After checking on my patients, I decide to take a break in my office, a small secluded space where I often retreat to gather my thoughts. Jack, who often accompanies me to work, is curled up under my desk, his presence comforting as I sit. My mind wanders to Lucas lately. Our conversations have been strained, our connection fraying at the edges. I've been feeling isolated, not just from him, but from myself. The silence of the office amplifies these feelings, and I find myself reaching out to Lucas via text seeking connection. But there's no reply. The void of loneliness in my deserted office feels overwhelming. I glance at the clock. It's past midnight. The hospital, usually a place of urgency and noise, now seems to hold its breath waiting for something. I reach for my phone again, scrolling through old messages from Lucas. Each one a reminder of better times, of laughter and shared dreams. I decide to fill the silence with something, anything. I pull out a book from my desk drawer, a novel I've been meaning to read for months but never found the time. The words on the page blur as my thoughts drift back to Lucas. I wonder if he's asleep, if he's thinking of me, or if he's lying awake. Troubled by the same unease that plagues me, the book falls from my hands and I stand up pacing the small room. Jack stirs his tail, thumping against the floor. Sensing my restlessness, I kneel beside him, stroking his fur, finding solace in his warmth. "What do you think, Jack? Should I tell him?" I whisper, knowing the only response I'll get is a loving lick on my hand. I sit back down, my gaze falling on the framed photo on my desk. It's from our last vacation. Lucas' arm around me, both of us laughing, the ocean behind us. That moment feels like a lifetime ago. I pick up the frame, running my thumb over the glass as if I could touch the happiness captured there. The need to do something, to break this cycle of silence and doubt, pushes me to my feet. I decide to make rounds again, not because they are necessary, but because movement feels like progress. The hallways are dimly lit. The only sounds are the distant hum of machinery and the occasional rustle of paper. From a nurse's station I check on Mrs. Langley, an elderly patient recovering from H***S surgery. She's asleep, her breathing steady. I adjust a blanket, a small act of care that feels grounding. Moving on, I find Mr. Thompson, who's awake, his eyes reflecting the pain he's in. I spend a few moments with him, adjusting his pain medication, talking softly about anything but his discomfort. Back in my office, I feel slightly less alone, having connected even briefly with others. I sit at my desk, the computer screen casting a blue glow over my face. I open a new document, my fingers hovering over the keys, maybe writing down my thoughts. My fears could help. I start typing, not about medicine or surgeries, but about Lucas. About us. Words pour out. Confessions of my fears. My doubts. My love for him. It's not a letter to him, but a confession to myself. A way to untangle the knots in my heart. As I write, I hear a soft knock at my door. It's Nurse Ellie, her face apologetic. "Dr. Alexander, we've got a new admission. Car accident. Multiple injuries." I nod, saving the document quickly, the screen going dark as I stand. Jack looks up, his eyes following me as I leave the office, the hospital's rhythm resumes, pulling me back into its embrace. But the words I've written linger in my mind, a silent promise to confront the storm within, not just for my patients, but for Lucas, for us. The night continues. Each step I take, a step towards the inevitable confrontation with my truth. The quiet hospital, the solitude, the patients, they all serve as a backdrop to the internal battle I'm waging. And as I prepare for another surgery, I realize that this night, this silence has given me the space to reflect, to decide, to perhaps begin to heal. The silence of the hospital at night is a stark contrast to the usual bustle of the day. It's a silence that amplifies every thought, every doubt, with no response from Lucas. The loneliness intensifies. I find myself reaching for something I rarely touch, a bottle of wine I keep for special occasions. The alcohol blurs the edges of my reality, and in this haze I begin to confide in Jack, speaking aloud my fears and frustrations. "Jack," I whisper, my voice thick with emotion. "I'm so scared. What if I've ruined everything? What if Lucas can never forgive me?" Jack, sensing my distress, comes closer, his warmth a stark contrast to the cold sterility of the office. His tail thumbs softly against the floor, a rhythmic comfort in the quiet room. The wine, now half gone, seems to have a voice of its own, urging me to speak. Truths I've kept buried. I've been so selfish. Jack, keeping the secret, thinking I could manage it alone, but it's eating me alive. My words spill out, each one, a confession, a plea for understanding, even if it's just for my loyal cute dog. In a moment of vulnerability, overwhelmed by the wine and my emotional turmoil, I do something unthinkable. I engage in an act of physical infidelity, not with another person, but with Jack. It's a moment of madness, a desperate grasp for connection in the most misguided way. My hands, which are so precise in the operating room, now tremble as they reach out seeking solace in the wrong place. The aftermath is immediate and crushing. Reality snaps back like a rubber band stretched too far. I pull away, my heart pounding with guilt and confusion. What have I done? I whisper the words, barely escaping my lips. Jack looks at me, his eyes full of unconditional love, unaware of the gravity of my actions. I stand the room, spinning slightly and stagger to the sink in my office. I splash cold water on my face, trying to wash away the shame, the confusion, the sheer madness of what just happened, but the water can't cleanse my soul. The night stretches on, each minute feeling like an eternity. I sit back down, the weight of my actions pressing down on me. I think of Lucas, his laughter, his touch, the way he looks at me, like I'm the only person in the world. How could I have betrayed that trust? Even if it was in such a bizarre, inexplicable manner, my mind races, trying to make sense of it all. Was it the alcohol, the isolation, the fear of losing everything? Or was it something deeper? A part of me I've never acknowledged now, surfacing in the most inappropriate way. I pick up my phone again, the screen dark and silent. No messages, no calls. The absence of Lucas's response now feels like an abyss, a void I've just made wider with my own actions. I start typing again, my fingers moving with a new urgency. This time the words are not just confessions, but a plea for forgiveness, a promise to confront the storm within me. Lucas, I need to tell you something. I've been keeping secrets, and tonight I've done something that might change everything between us. I'm scared, but I need to be honest with you. Please, when you get this, let's talk. The document says automatically, the cursor blinking, waiting for more. But there's nothing more to say. Not. Now I close the laptop, the screen going dark, mirroring the darkness I feel inside the hospital. Silence is now a deafening roar in my ears. I stand feeling the need to move, to do something, anything to escape the confines of my own mind. I check on my patients again. Each interaction a small act of redemption, a way to ground myself in the reality of my profession, where I can still do some good. As I walk the corridors, the weight of my actions follows me like a shadow. I know this moment will change my life forever. It's not just about the secret I've been keeping anymore. It's about the trust I've broken, the line I've crossed. Returning to my office, I find Jack still there, his presence now a reminder of my lapse in judgment. I sit beside him, stroking his fur, seeking forgiveness in the only way I know how. I'm sorry, Jack. I murmur, my voice breaking. I'm so sorry. The night deepens, and with it my resolve hardens. I need to face Lucas, to tell him everything, not just about the secret, but about tonight. The thought terrifies me, but it's necessary. This act of infidelity, however misguided, has shown me the depth of my own desperation, the lengths I'll go to avoid confronting the truth. As the first light of dawn creeps through the window, I realize that this night, this moment of madness has set in motion a series of events that will redefine who I am, not just as a surgeon, but as a person. The storm within is broken, and now I must navigate through the aftermath with Lucas, with myself, with the life we've built together. The hospital begins to stir. The days shift, arriving in with them the promise of a new day. But for me, it's a day that will start with a confession, a plea for understanding, and a hope for redemption. The path ahead is uncertain, fraught with potential pain. But it's a path I must walk for the sake of truth, for the sake of love, for the sake of us. The next morning, the weight of my actions crashes down on me. I'm filled with guilt, shame and confusion. I can't face Lucas, nor can I look at Jack without feeling a surge of self-loathing at work. I'm distracted, my hands shaking during surgeries, my mind replaying the night before. I try to act normal, but the facade is cracking. Lucas notices something is off, his concern palpable. He asks if everything is all right, and I lie, saying I'm just tired. But the life feels like a betrayal, adding to the pile of secrets between us. The day progresses, each moment stretching into an eternity. My thoughts are a whirlwind of regret and fear. I keep replaying the moment of weakness, the moment I crossed a line that should never have been crossed. The hospital, usually my sanctuary, feels like a prison today, every corner echoing with my misdeeds. During a brief break, I find myself in the break room, staring into my coffee. The steam rises, blurring my vision. Much like my life seems to be blurring around me. My phone buzzes, a message from Lucas. Are you sure you're okay? You seem different. My heart sinks. The truth is a heavy stone in my chest, and every lie I tell to keep it hidden feels like another weight added to it. I type back, just a long night. Love, I'll be fine. But as I send the message, I know I'm not fine. I'm far from it. The hospital corridors feel like they are closing in on me, each step a reminder of the path I've taken, the choices I've made. Lunchtime comes and I can't eat. The food sits untouched, my stomach churning with anxiety. I decide to take a walk, hoping the motion might clear my head. But every step feels like I'm walking towards an inevitable confrontation. In the hospital garden, I sit on a bench, the cool air doing little to soothe the turmoil inside. I watch the leaves flutter in the breeze, each one a reminder of how fragile everything is, how easily life can change. My phone buzzes again. Another message from Lucas. Can we talk when you get home? I'm worried about you. I reply, of course we'll talk. My fingers tremble as I type, knowing that this conversation could unravel everything. The secret, the act with Jack. It's all too much. I feel like I'm on the edge of a precipice. One wrong step and I'll fall back inside. I'm called for another surgery. This time it's a young woman with a critical condition. I need to focus to be the surgeon I've trained to be. But my mind is elsewhere. My hands, usually so steady, feel like they are not my own. I make a small mistake, a nick where there shouldn't be one, and the nurse looks at me, concern in her eyes. Dr. Alexander, are you sure you're okay? She asks, her voice low, meant only for me. I nod, forcing a smile. Just a slip. AFI. But I'm not fine. I'm anything but fine. The surgery ends, and I'm left with the aftermath of my own personal surgery, the one where I've cut into the fabric of my life with my own hands. I retreat to my office, needing solitude, needing to think. Jack, who has followed me, looks up with those trusting eyes, and I feel another wave of guilt crash over me. I sit at my desk. The document from last night still open, my confession to Lucas. I read it again, each word a stab. I need to tell him, I need to confess. But the fear of losing him, of losing everything, grips me like a vice. The day wears on, and with each passing hour, the dread grows. I check my phone, obsessively waiting for Lucas's response, for any sign that he might already know that he might be pulling away. But there's nothing, just the silence that's become a constant companion. As the shift ends, I gather my things, my movements. Mechanical Jack follows, his tail wagging, oblivious to the storm within me. I drive home each mile, feeling like a match to my own execution. When I walk through the door, Lucas is there, his face etched with worry. Alexander, what's going on? His voice is gentle, but it pierces through the facade I've been maintaining all day. I take a deep breath. The words I've been holding back all day now fighting to escape. Lucas, we need to talk. There's something I need to tell you, something I've been keeping from you. My voice breaks the dam of my emotions. Finally giving way, he sits, his expression shifting from concern to something unreadable. What is it? Alexander, the room feels too small, the air too thick. I sit beside him, my hands clasped tightly in my lap. I've done something terrible, something I can't take back, and I've been keeping a secret from you, one that's been eating away at me. Lucas's eyes search mine, looking for the truth he senses, but doesn't yet know. Tell me, he says, his voice steady, but I can't hear the tremor of fear. I tell him everything about the secret, about the night before, about the moment of madness with Jack. Each word feels like a betrayal, a confession that might end us. His face goes pale, his eyes wide with shock and hurt. The silence that follows is deafening. I wait, my heart in my throat, for his response, for his judgment. The storm within me is broken, and now I must face the storm outside, the one I've brought upon us. Will Alexander's secret remain hidden, or will it explode into the open? The answer lies in Lucas's next words. In the aftermath of my confession, in the fragile balance of our love and trust. The tension in the room was palpable. As Lucas walked in his footsteps, echoing against the sterile walls of my office, he was expecting to find me buried in paperwork, perhaps a bit stressed, but nothing out of the ordinary. Instead, he was met with the sight of last night's wine bottle half empty, and the disarray of my motions scattered around like the remnants of a storm. His eyes scanned a room, then settled on me, his expression shifting from casual concern to deep worry. "Alexander, what's going on?" His voice was soft, but there was an edge to it, a hint of something he couldn't quite place yet. I looked up at him, my heart pounding in my chest, the confession I had written down earlier, now feeling like a noose surrounded my neck. "Lucas, we need to talk." I managed to say, my voice barely above a whisper. He sat down across from me, his gaze never leaving mine. "I can see that. What is it?" The words caught in my throat, but I forced them out. "I've done something terrible, something I can't take back." The air thickened with each word, the weight of my betrayal hanging between us, his face usually so open and warm, now clouded with confusion and hurt. "What do you mean? Alexander, what have you done?" I took a deep breath, the truth clawing its way up from the depths of my guilt. "I've been keeping a secret from you, one that's been eating away at me. And last night, in a moment of weakness, I did something I deeply regret." Lucas's eyes searched mine, looking for the truth he sensed, but didn't yet know. "Tell me," he urged, his voice steady, but with a tremor of fear. I told him about the secret, the one that had been gnawing at me, the one that could unravel everything we had built together. I spoke of the loneliness, the fear, and then with a voice that trembled, I confessed about the night before, about the moment of madness with Jack. Each word felt like a betrayal, a confession that might end us. The silence that followed was deafening. Lucas's face went pale, his eyes wide, with shock and hurt. He stood up abruptly, pacing the small room, his hands running through his hair in a gesture of disbelief and distress. "Why? Alexander, why would you do that?" His voice was thick with emotion, a mix of anger and pain. "I don't know, Lucas. I was alone, scared, and the wine. It blurred everything. I was looking for connection, for something to make me feel less alone, but I chose the worst possible way." My explanation sounded feeble, even to my own ears. He stopped pacing, turning to face me, his eyes now filled with tears. "And Jack? How could you involve him in this?" "I'm so sorry, Lucas." It was a moment of insanity, a desperate grasp for something I couldn't find in myself. "I regret it with every fiber of my being." My voice broke, tears streaming down my face. Lucas sat back down, his head in his hands, his shoulders shaking slightly. "I need to think, Alexander. I need to process this. I don't know what to say." The room felt like it was closing in on me. I wanted to reach out to touch him, to make him understand, but I knew I had no right. "I understand if you need time. I couldn't keep this from you any longer. It's been destroying me." He looked up at me, his eyes red-rimmed. "What about Jack? Does he understand any of this?" "He doesn't, Lucas. He's just a cute dog, full of love and loyalty, unaware of the gravity of my actions. I've betrayed his trust too, in a way I can never explain to him." Lucas's gaze was distant, lost in thought. "I need some air," he said, finally standing up. "I'll be back, but I need to think." I watched him leave the door, closing softly behind him, leaving me alone with the remnants of my confession. The office felt colder, the silence oppressive. I turned to Jack, who had been quietly lying under my desk, his tail thumping, softly, unaware of the storm he had unwittingly been part of. "I'm sorry, Jack," I whispered, my voice breaking. "I'm so sorry." The minutes stretched into what felt like hours. I sat there, my mind replaying the scene, each word, each expression on Lucas's face. The fear of losing him, of losing everything we had built, was overwhelming. When Lucas returned, his face was set, his eyes still troubled, but with a hint of resolve. "Alexander, I love you, but this changes things. I need to know everything. What's the secret you've been keeping?" I took a deep breath, knowing this was the moment of truth. "Lucas, it's about my work. There's something I've been involved in, something that could jeopardize my career, our life together. It's not just about last night. It's about choices I've made, lies I've told." He listened, his expression unreadable as I explained the ethical dilemma I had faced, the compromises I had made in the name of saving lives, but at what cost? When I finished, Lucas's face was a mask of conflict. "I need time, Alexander, time to understand, to decide if I can live with this. I love you, but trust, Trust is everything I know. I said, my voice barely a whisper. I'll give you all the time you need. As he left again, I realized that the storm within me had indeed broken, and now I must navigate through the aftermath with Lucas, with myself, with the life we've built together. The path ahead was uncertain, fraught with potential pain, but it was a path I must walk for the sake of truth, for the sake of love, for the sake of us. In the aftermath, Andre leaves, needing space to process. I'm left alone with Jack, who looks at me with the same unconditional love, unaware of the storm he's unwittingly part of. I'm torn between my love for Lucas and the guilt that consumes me. I decide to seek help not just for my marriage, but for myself. Therapy becomes my refuge, a place to untangle the mess of my emotions. Lucas and I start couples counseling, a painful but necessary journey. The story ends with me standing at a crossroads, my relationship with Lucas hanging in the balance, my bond with Jack forever changed. I've learned that seeking connection in the wrong places can lead to destruction, but also that redemption might be possible through honesty and healing. While Alexander and Lucas find a way back to each other. Or, is this the end of their story? As Lucas walked out, the silence of the room was a stark contrast to the storm of emotions within me. Jack, sensing the shift, came over, his tail wagging, trying to comfort me, but his presence now only served as a reminder of my lapse in judgment. I sat there, the weight of my confession pressing down on me, feeling the isolation of my choices. The next few days were a blur. I went through the motions at work, my hands moving mechanically, my mind elsewhere. The hospital, once a sanctuary, now felt like a place where I was merely existing, not living. Each surgery was a reminder of the precision I lacked in my personal life, the control I had lost. I knew I couldn't continue like this, the guilt, the fear of losing Lucas. It was all too much, so I made the decision to seek help. I found a therapist, someone who could guide me through the tangled mess of my emotions, someone who could help me understand why I had done what I did. The first session was daunting. Sitting in that office, the walls lined with books and the air thick with the scent of lavender, I felt exposed. But Dr. Leo, with her calm demeanor, made it easier to tell me about the night. She said, her voice gentle, inviting. I recounted everything from the loneliness, the wine to the moment with Jack. It was painful, like pulling out shards of glass embedded in my soul. But with each word I felt a slight release, a beginning of understanding my own vulnerabilities. Lucas, I said, my voice cracking. I need to save us, but I don't know how. Dr. Leo listened, her eyes. Thoughtful healing starts with understanding oneself, Alexander, and sometimes it requires both partners to walk through the fire together. Her words resonated. I knew Lucas needed to be part of this journey, so I reached out to him asking if he would consider couples counseling. His response was hesitant, but he agreed, his voice carrying the weight of our shared pain. Our first session together was tense. The room felt charged with the electricity of our unresolved issues. Dr. Leo guided us gently, asking us to share our feelings not just about the incident but about our life together, our fears, our dreams. Lucas spoke of betrayal of the trust, shattered. His words were like knives, but I knew they were necessary. I loved you, Alexander, and I still do. But how do I move past this? I listened, my heart aching. I don't expect you to forgive me easily. Lucas, I've made a grave mistake, but I want to work through this with you for us. The sessions continued, each one peeling back layers of our relationship, exposing the raw nerves of our connection. We talked about communication, about the pressures of my job, about the isolation I felt and how it led to. That night, through therapy, I began to see the patterns, the cracks in our foundation, that I had ignored. Lucas III started to open up about his own insecurities, his fears of not being enough for me for our life together. One evening, after a particularly intense session, we sat in our car. The silence between us, not as heavy as before. I'm trying, Alexander. Lucas said, his voice softer. Now I want to believe in us, but it's hard. I know, I replied, my hand reaching for his, not sure if he would pull away. He didn't. I'm here, Lucas. I'm not going anywhere. I want to rebuild what we've lost. As the weeks turned into months, we found a new rhythm, not the same as before, but something different, something built on honesty and the hard work of healing. Jack, ever the constant, was there. His presence now a symbol of our journey of the love that could endure even the darkest moments. Standing at this crossroads, I realized that our relationship, like my bond with Jack, had changed. It was no longer about the perfection of what we had, but about the resilience to face our imperfections together. The question remained, would we find our way back to each other? Or was this the end? Only time would tell. But for now I was committed to the path of redemption, to the possibility that through honesty and healing we could rebuild not just our marriage, but ourselves. If you feel that this story is meaningful and brings useful lessons, please like and subscribe to the channel to support me. Thanks.